Welcome to KINX Connects, a podcast and video series which features the activities of KINX development projects. Join us on our adventure, which will interview developers, builders, and lawyers, and an array of guests which will give us updates and insights into the real estate industry. My name is Kelly and I am your host for the first edition of KINX Connects. For today's first edition, of course, we have the director of KINX Group in Sydney, Khan Fair. Hi Khan, thanks for joining me today on the first podcast series of KINX Connects. Can you please introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about KINX?
Yeah, sure. First of all, thanks Kelly for hosting today. My name is Khan Pham. I'm the director of KINX. We are a property development group. We specialize in property development all over Australia. We've been around for 5 years and we predominantly serve the Vietnamese investors.
Okay, so why real estate? What's your personal connection to real estate?
Yeah, that's actually a really good question. Look, I've actually been, it's a weird story, but I've actually been buying real estate since I was like 19 or 20. And my first purchase was this apartment in Mascot, where the airport was. And I didn't know much about real estate then, but what happened was I ended up buying it and selling it, and I made a really good profit. And from there, I actually used that profit to keep investing in real estate. And I believe like real estate is the fundamental for most people in the world for their wealth to grow.
So how did you transition into property development?
Along the way, when I was buying and selling property, you meet a lot of really good people that have a lot of open mindsets. So one friend, he said to me once, "Oh, Khan, I have enough money. I think I'm gonna buy 10 apartments. What do you think?" And I said, "I think if you had the money to buy 10 apartments at once, the smarter thing to do would be you can use that money and develop the block of land yourself. And that way, instead of becoming the retail purchaser, you're pretty much like the wholesaler." And from there, I learned a lot about property development and it just became a really interesting thing. I'm still learning new things now and I love it.
That's pretty cool. So what are the key differences between your job now in property development and your previous job in real estate sales?
Yeah, real estate sales is you are working as an agent and you sell for the developers, and you're running along, you get clients, and you know, it's an endless job, very satisfying. I actually loved it. With development, it's many times harder. You see, you become the developer, so you need to do everything from the ground up, which is all the paperwork, all the connections, electricity, all that from scratch. So, and you got to keep your investors happy. So it's a lot more complicated.
Yeah, so what do you think the best part of your job is?
To me, like I said, I think the best part is meeting these new people, these people who have an open mindset. They love real estate like I do. They have things in common, and they teach you new things along the way, and we teach each other new things, and we become almost like family.
So what do you think the worst part of your job is?
The worst part of my job, but I wouldn't say it's the worst. It's the hours that I do are nearly 24/7, you see, because my clients are Australia, in Vietnam, and a few different countries. So we work on their time, and no matter what time it is, we pick up our phone and we answer their problems and we sort out anything they need.
Would you say the Vietnamese community is your main client group now?
Yeah, since I started this with KINX in 2019, it is the main thing. It's probably 70 or 80% of the investments that go into our development. So when we started, I'd say in 2019 or something like that, I think our investments from Vietnam were less than 2 million. And you know, COVID we're not going to talk about, but in 22, 23, 24, we have over nearly $500 million per annum from Vietnamese money coming into project developments. And that is such a significant number and it's a really good number that we're really proud of. And we only see it increasing in the future.
So like me, we're both Australian-born Vietnamese.
Yeah.
So how did you end up doing business with Vietnamese clients?
I think in 2020, I went to Vietnam for like the first time with my good friend to see what the Vietnamese market was like. And while we were there, we had random people saying that we are looking in Australia and we're looking to invest in Australia. What do you think? And from there, business just grew because the Vietnamese economy grows very fast, and people have a really good investment mindset in Asia, and they don't want to leave their eggs in one basket. So what happens is that as they invest a lot of money in Vietnam already, they want to invest in other parts of the world where they can separate their investments. A very good strategy.
Interesting. So when we first met, you only spoke English, and being an Australian-born Vietnamese, like, how did you overcome that language barrier?
Yeah, that's good. See, we're still speaking English now because it makes it a lot easier. Yeah, I had to learn Vietnamese because when I was little, I stopped speaking. My parents spoke Vietnamese. They're Vietnamese, by the way. So I stopped speaking Vietnamese, I guess, when I was 5 or 6. The whole family just spoke English because everyone went to school here. And then, yeah, when I started going to Vietnam again, I had Vietnamese clients. I had to speak it again from scratch. And I tell you, it's very difficult. It's all these words that, especially different parts of Vietnam you go to, there's different words they use. And you know, in Australia, there's just me and you. But in Vietnam, there's like cô, chú, bác, dì, ma, all these things that you have to remember. And if you say it wrong, then they start laughing at you. Or it's a bit funny for them.
Yeah. So how often do you travel to Vietnam? Where's your favorite place to go?
Oh, favorite place. Well, I want to travel Vietnam more. Since I started working this, I've only been to the south and the north, Hanoi and Ho Chi Minh. But I really want to travel around. I have no favorite at the moment, but I want to travel around. I love both of them, mostly because the food in Vietnam is excellent.
So what are some culture shocks you had between Australia and Vietnam?
Oh, there's a whole list if you go culture shocks. First of all, you know, Vietnam, it's different than Australia. First of all, Australia, everything closes at about 5 o'clock and it's family time. In Vietnam, things start at 5 o'clock. And you go downstairs and there's food, there's entertainment, there's everything you think of. That's the time when your friends gather. That's number one. And the second biggest culture shock I'd say is traffic. I think you've been to Vietnam once, you've seen. It's over here, straight is straight, right is right, and left is left. But in Vietnam, we call it an understanding. And it's very scary.
So what are your insights on Vietnamese investments? I read it was like the 4th largest investor in the real estate market. Can you tell me a bit more?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, in 2022 and 23, there were in the FIRB reports, which is the Foreign Investment Review Board, the Vietnamese market or the Vietnamese money into the real estate sector in Australia was the 4th biggest. And that says a lot because the Vietnamese economy has transitioned so much in the last few years. And especially because, you know, there are a little political things like trade war in China and a few other little issues. So now a lot of the countries, a lot of big companies, production, they moved to Vietnam. So that's like a new hub now. And for me personally, I see Vietnam is like China about 15, 20 years back, and it'll soon become a very big powerhouse.
So because your main clientele is from Vietnam, how did these investors choose what to invest in?
Yeah, you see, we have all different types of investors, right? So we have investors that they invest and they actually have their own block of land, maybe because their friend told them or because they know somebody that lives in, let's say, Sydney or Melbourne, and they just love it. You love what you know. And so they bought a block of land and they'll ask us to help them develop on the land. Yeah. Or otherwise, people who don't know too much, they'll ask us what we have and they'll invest with us. And those are the main 2 pathways that the investors have in Vietnam.
So today, which development project are you most proud of and why?
Yeah, without a doubt, we have 2 this year that we're most proud of. So we have Concord, that used to be the old Concord Library, and the council actually sold that. And a foreign investor was able to purchase that without any FIRB or stamp duty surcharges, and they're building that to 4 luxury duplexes. Besides that, our most proudest one at the moment is at Double Bay, so 491 New South Head Road. So that one we're really proud of because it's a commercial place that we're building into 8 luxury duplexes in Double Bay, which is the most famous eastern suburb in Australia. And our most important part about that is that it's right next to the Consulate General of Vietnam. And because of that location and because of who its neighbor is, all the Vietnamese investors. It's about 80% of that project at the moment. It's one of our fastest investment projects at the moment.
Oh, wow. So it seems like we've done a lot. Can you run me through some numbers?
Yeah, since 2019, we've completed up to 38 projects at the moment. We have 5 upcoming in the next year. And our project value to date is actually over $5 billion, which we're really proud of and something that the Vietnamese community can be very proud of as well.
Thank you for your time today, Khan, and thank you to everyone for listening to the first podcast of KINX Connects. Stay tuned for more podcasts and videos to come.
Stay connected.